Is diversity good or bad for innovation? Today I want to take you through two fascinating research studies which I've recently found, which give us evidence behind whether or not having a diverse group of people performing on an innovation task is better than people who have the same perspective. Now, the first study was done by Professor Brian Uzi, and it looked at whether or not there's evidence behind whether or not people with the same background perform better at innovation or creativity tasks than people who have different backgrounds. So what he did is he looked at lots of research behind whether or not people who've worked together previously or haven't worked together previously produced the most creative, innovative, and successful outcomes. What he found, especially with his seminal work on the research of American musicals on Broadway, was that he found that the teams that performed the best when it came to producing new creative output had a mixture of both people who've worked together previously, but also people who hadn't worked together previously. And ironically enough, the ratio that he found seemed to be approximately 50% people who've worked together previously and 50% new blood. And there's a couple of reasons for this. When people work together, they start to begin thinking the same way. And when they get success especially, they start to think, if it's worked for us previously, it'll work for us again in the future. So groups that work together over and over and over again, especially ones that have seen a bit of success, begin to think that the way that they work previously to get to a successful result will end up getting them a successful result again in the future. However, this has a limited shelf life. Eventually, people actually start to get fixated on the same way of doing things, and it ends up with them being less and less creative over time. So what you want as a team, if you want to be as innovative as possible, is to have a constant mixture of people who've worked together on products and projects previously, and also an influx of new blood who bring new perspectives, new information, new knowledge, and especially new ways of approaching problems that the existing team hadn't thought about. The second piece of research that I want to talk to you about today is whether or not just having different people, different types of people, actually counts as being diverse enough. A fascinating study that got published in the Harvard Business Review recently asked, does having people who are of different ages, genders, ethnicities in a team actually end up leading to problems being solved for innovative, creative challenges? And the fascinating result of 100 experiments showed that if you have people who are different ages, different genders, different ethnicities, this by itself does not mean that the team is going to actually be able to solve the problem more than a team that is more homogeneous, more than a team that is composed of very similar people. So if it's not the outward differences and outward diversity that ends up helping a team be successful in divergent thinking and thinking of new solutions, then what actually is it? Well, the authors of the research paper suggest it's not the outward diversity, it's actually the cognitive diversity. The way that people think needs to be different from one another. So what they determined cognitive diversity to be through a follow-up series of experiments was they assessed the way that people use their knowledge, whether or not they prefer to use existing knowledge or compare knowledge within the group and develop new knowledge, and the way that they discuss this knowledge as well. And what they found very strikingly is that groups with a higher degree of cognitive diversity, where there's people with different ways of thinking, are much more likely to come to innovative, successful outcomes significantly faster than people who all think of the same way. They quoted two very interesting examples. One was a group of R&D scientists for a biotechnology company who all were PhD candidates and who all had a very scientific background. They did not manage to solve the challenge in the time allocated because all of them approached it in the same way, and the challenge required a difference of approaches within the group. Similarly, with a group of IT consultants, they didn't actually even manage to come close to finishing the challenge because instead of collaborating within the group, each individual started thinking about how they should best develop the solution in their own minds. The teams that actually managed to develop the most accurate, effective, and innovative solutions were the ones that had a mixture of people with different cognitive styles. So what do these two scientific studies teach us? Well, first of all, they teach us that it's important to have a mixture of new blood and existing blood, people who've worked together previously and new people who haven't worked together at all, to keep the team able to produce constantly innovative and creative output. But within that group as well, you need to make sure that you're not just filling it with people who think the same way. You need to be making sure that you fill it with people who have differences of perspectives, differences of ways of approaching problems, and different experiences. Those two studies and those two ways of building diversity within your group are actually going to be what results in you having the highest innovative groups and the most creative groups overall. So if you found this interesting, my name's been Nick Skillicorn from ideatovalue.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with people who think that you need to have more diversity in your groups. And make sure you go to www.ideatovalue.com for the best training on the internet, the best premium training on the internet around building your innovation and creativity capabilities. Make sure you check out my channel to see all of the previous videos that I've done, and I'll speak again with you soon. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave me a comment about what you thought and what you'd like to see more about. If you want to take your creativity and innovation capabilities to the next level, then invest in yourself with the premium training only available at ideatovalue.com. These exclusive training modules have all been put together by me, Nick Skillicorn, and have been used by thousands of artists, innovation leaders, and CEOs to become better at understanding the source of their creativity and executing on their innovation ambitions. And there is no risk to you, as they are backed by our money-back guarantee. Now, don't forget to go out there and make your ideas a reality. See you again soon.